And I'm Megan Lee. And this is Romance on the Rocks, where two bookish biddies imbibe and enjoy romance novels.
The theme this month is underwater love.
Yeah, underwater romance.
So we're talking krakens, mermaids, selkies, what have you.
Yeah.
We made a special cocktail that we're going to drink together because we're together.
We're together.
In person.
Same room.
Same room, same place, same bat cave, same bat time.
Yeah.
And we made a drink called the Siren.
And by we, Nicole made a beautiful drink called the Siren.
We don't know if it's beautiful yet. We'll find out in a hot second.
Hold on. The creation was beautiful. I don't know about the flavor. I'm a little skeptical because I used a plastic knife to stir them because, you know, you use what you got when you're in the hotel room. We're also drinking these out of paper cups.
Because that's what's in the hotel room.
That's what's in the hotel room.
We decided we need a travel podcast cocktail kit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the market. I'm going to find it. But yeah, I licked the knife after I stirred and now I'm pretty skeptical. I wish I hadn't have done that because like my expectations now are a little bit
This
low.
is either going to be ginny and salty and lemony and citrusy delightful, or it's going to be like brackish seawater.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's going to be brackish, a little bit sweaty even.
Okay.
Shall we cheers? I'm going to cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, my love.
Let's take a sip.
Okay.
Yeah, that's brackish seawater.
Oh God, what does that remind me of?
Have you ever had a colonoscopy?
I was just gonna say it's a bit medicinal.
And you have to drink that crap to make you crap.
Wait. Think about this as being like with Gatorade. That makes it feel a little bit better.
Electrolyte-y.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better if you think about it as Gatorade.
Well, it's supposed to have this like sea foam on the top of it made from egg whites and salt and lemon juice.
Yeah.
And it did work.
Little foamy. Yeah.
Okay. It's very electrolyte-y.
Yeah. I think if you think of it with Gatorade, you're good. Some Pedialyte. Nicole also gave us this garnish of seaweed. And I had a little bit. I don't think I care for this.
I want to mention too, before we dive into your book, the gin we're using is called Grey Whale Gin.
It's a really pretty bottle. It's like a turquoise color, would you say?
It's got a lot of California ingredients for the gin.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like that was on theme.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a gin drinker. That's my poison of choice. So
I think when we refresh our bevies, though, I'm probably going to go sea foam free.
I will admit it took us a while to do our setup because, you know, anytime you travel, it's all cords, all problems, all whatever. So I actually, because I did not want to break into our drink early, I did make myself another beverage and I've been
two-fisted it over there.
I already have my refill beverage, which this is kind of an old standby. Instead of a gin and tonic, it's a brandy and tonic. Highly recommend if anybody has not tried it before. It almost has like a candy apple sucker kind of flavor to it. There's something about the way brandy and tonic and lime go together. It's phenomenal.
I honestly would never have put those things together, but here we are.
Here we are. Here.
Oh, okay.
Have yourself a little sip.
Little sippy sip.
Little sippy sip. It's one of those drinks.
Oh my God.
Oh, all right. Girl doesn't like it.
That's not for me.
All right. I love it. Try it out there. You folks tell me if you like it or if it's just me and my palate.
That's almost reminiscent of one of my Alani new energy drinks that I have from time to time. It definitely puts a little pep into you.
It does. It does. I love it, but you know, I'm going from medicinal to this. So
you do you.
All right, let's get into my book.
Yes, tell me all about your book.
So my book is called The Kraken's Sacrifice. It's by Katee Robert. And it's a more recent book. I think I told you yesterday that it was 2023, but it's actually 2022. My main characters are Catalina. She is a very insecure person, I would say, for a variety of reasons. Sounds as though she grew up with a very self-centered, a little bit cruel kind of mother and an absent father. So she has a lot of issues with her self-esteem, often feels like most people just don't want her around or they just tolerate her. She's constantly putting herself down or not giving herself enough value. She thinks she's a lot to deal with. So she doesn't blame anybody for that because she's just had that mindset. She's a person that has kind of, to cover up all that insecurity, become a little bit mouthy, puts on a sense of boldness. She's kind of out there, and it's all just to hide what's going on inside. Our main male character is Thane. He is the Kraken King. And yeah. Kraken King.
I'm excited already.
Yeah. We find out that Thane is a widower. He lost his husband, Brant, about 5 years ago. Thane has been carrying around all this hurt and anger ever since. He currently rules the Kraken Kingdom, but is only really temporarily in charge of those duties as he waits for his younger sibling, Embry, to take over all of the kingdomly duties. It took me a while to decide, but I'm pretty sure the Kraken's sacrifice was just the fact that Thane was in charge of the kingdom. I was having a hard time kind of tracking down what his sacrifice actually was. And I'm like, I think he's
thinking she was the sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm not going for that. No, I really don't think so. I know, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I read it. And I'm like, no, what is a sacrifice? Maybe just giving up his time for his kingdom? I don't know. Yeah, if somebody else has a different interpretation, let me know. The premise of this book, it opens with Catalina signing a contract with a demon. She is broke. She's losing her apartment, doesn't have a good support circle. The contract that she has signed with this demon requires her to give 7 years of her life in exchange for an astronomical cash payout after these years of service are complete. The contract specifies that no harm may befall her while she is doing these 7 years of duty, and that no other entity can force themselves on her in any sort of sexual manner. She can choose to do those things if she finds someone smexy enough, but any sexy extracurriculars are to be consensual. And if she does partake in any sort of bedroom rompage and happens to get preggers and, a baby comes from this, any child born from contract banging will remain in that demon realm after she departs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is what the contract basically entails. She has no desire to become a parent, has no desire to follow through with any of that, but she's like, 7 years and my life sucks here and I don't feel like anybody wants me here anyway. I might as well get me some cash. So she signs this contract. She's swept into this other realm kind of castle. The demon who struck the deal with her, Azazel, has planned an auction where she is one of the items up for bid.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Azazel has invited rulers from 4 separate otherworld kingdoms to partake in the auction. Each one of these kings, lords, whatever, gets to choose a human to take in for those 7 years of the contract. And you might ask, why? Why does anybody want to do this, right? So apparently humans are prized for their ability to strengthen and expand the genetic pool for these other world creatures. So basically, she's going down there to be wined and dined by some sort of otherworld lord. Unlike other fantasy worlds I've read of, and we've all kind of seen, where people are taken without their consent, none of that seems to be happening here. This world seems to be very consensual. It's a lot of people signing contracts, knowing what the rules are, and it all seems very above board. So the creatures in this realm are just trying to rightfully or consciously have a human with them that they can expand the survival of their race without just being grabby. The ethics in this realm seem very respectable. It's very above board.
Okay. How unusual for demons.
I found myself thinking, if this were truly how demons acted and created contracts, I would totally get on board. Hand me the pen. Come on, now, I'll take it. It seemed very doable. I did tell you as I was reading this book that this book could be called Tentacles and Trauma.
Oh, and before we get too much further, any trigger warnings in this one, Meghan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. We're not quite there yet, but I will even tell you, trigger warning wise, in the beginning of this book, the author says content warnings. abuse/neglect, and then in parentheses, mental and emotional, parent to child, historical, followed by spousal death, explicit sex, vomit, except the vomit is non-graphic, pregnancy termination,
Okay.
which to me, that would have been the most triggering thing in this book, is there is talk of abortion.
Okay.
And it plays a pretty significant role. Brief body shaming, historical references of that, reference to age play, slight dollification, and use of unconventional gag.
I want to know. Okay, carry on. Carry on.
Yeah.
Now that we put those trigger warnings out there, if anybody needs to fast forward to the second part with my book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to be talking about pretty much any of that.
Okay.
Those are just, if you're going to read this book, know it's in there.
Okay.
I won't be talking about it. Okay. So anyway, after I also would have signed a contract like that if I had her life, because it sounded like 7 years and then I can just do whatever I want. And the demons seem pretty above board.
That's so weird.
I know, it's super weird, but I found myself thinking anytime one of the demons would come in, I'm like, I trust this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, during the auction, Catalina ends up matched up with Thane, the current leader of the Kraken people. The auction contract specifies, just like the original contract she had with the demon, that no harm is to come to her. So she's got this signed not only for her initial, I'm going to be there for 7 years, but now also with the person she's going to be with. The kicker of this contract, though, this specific one, is that if harm does come to her, the ruler's kingdom is forfeit.
Oh.
Right. So you wonder if the demons are kind of like doing this setup, like, hey, we're going to offer you this cool prize. You can, maybe help generations of your people by having this, genetic boom. However, if you F it up, we get all y'all's stuff.
Okay.
So it's a pretty big deal if she gets hurt. And like I've already said, she doesn't seem to really care much about herself. So does she care if she gets hurt? It's a pretty hefty price to pay. But Catalina at least feels like she's going to be safe. And that's kind of where I'm leaving it for the story. Like, really, truly. Yeah. Because
you've given me nothing.
I know. But here's the I have thoughts and different things that I am going to read to you from the book.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Well, let's start just by saying first, this was a quick read. It's not a very girthy book.
No, it's quite thin.
About 170 pages. It was quick. I read it in one afternoon.
That's not a big book at all.
No, it was quick. And again, like I said, halfway through it, I decided the book should have been called Tentacles and Trauma. There's a lot of unpacking of emotional baggage for both Catalina and Thane. There's also a lot of sexual tentacle play. Like a lot. A lot. There was a lot of tentacles in this book.
Okay.
A lot. Thirdly, if you are a person that thinks that like millennials and Gen Z are soft for talking about preferred pronouns, this isn't the book for you. This book has a lot of pronouns. It's a very progressive book from the perspective of gender identity, fluidity, bodily autonomy. I got some quotables.
Okay.
Page 17. Catalina says, I don't hate the gym, but it's very hard to be surrounded by all those hard and thin bodies when mine is so very average. She's just very kind of like, she doesn't see her own beauty, basically.
Okay.
So now on page 29, this is a big one. Again, I said she's going down there. She's not expecting that she's going to be having a relationship with anybody. That's not really her plan. And she says about Thane, he doesn't seem interested in doing any kind of seducing. That should be a relief. I won't pretend I'm not more than a little curious about the tentacles. Truly, I've seen some inspired art in my day, and the possibility of experiencing it in real life is more tantalizing than I expected. But that doesn't mean I want to fuck a fish.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And again, with her attitude for herself, this was like a big part of the book was trying to shift her own attitude about herself. So she says, "It's not harm if it's normal. I'm used to it." It's like, ugh. And Thane recognizes that that kind of attitude, he basically internalizes and says, she says it so carelessly, as if her life matters so little. Her insistence that her health and well-being are somehow not worthy of note. It was just really hard to have a character that was that, like, I don't know, carrying around such negative thoughts about herself, you know?
Yeah, self-deprecating.
Yeah, it was a lot of just not seeing her own value, and that was really hard, and having the 2 of them together, you could see them start to repair each other, like, her own thoughts on her value, his, you know, loss of his husband, it was a lot of that. On page 118, they're having an encounter, and she gasps and says, "Is your cock prehensile?" And he responds with, "Is that a problem?" She says, "No, oh God, absolutely not. Do not stop." I'm like, "A prehensile penis?"
I don't even
Like, that's like the tail of a possum is prehensile. I'm like, it's grabby, basically.
ew.
Like, what is going on in this book? Um, yeah, it was just a lot. But then I would say my 2 favorite things. There was a description that the author had pretty early on discussing Thane, and Catalina observes, "He's beautiful in the way that glaciers are beautiful. He'll definitely freeze your ass off if you get too close, but it's pretty and harsh and unforgiving, which draws you in all the same." I was just like, I like that line. He's beautiful in the way that glaciers are beautiful. And then I think probably my absolute favorite part came really close to the end. And they are sitting down and just kind of having a cozy night at home. And he asks her if she'd like to play a game. And he pulls out something that looks a little bit like checkers or chess, different rules, but same kind of game board, I guess. And she has an internal monologue where she says, "I have a weakness for games. There's an intimacy that comes from playing with others. And when I once said as much to my girlfriend at the time, she laughed at me, but I stand by it." And I was like, I like that. There's an intimacy in games.
Yeah.
Like there really is,
Yeah.
like that kind of gameplay between people. And it's not a sexual thing, it's just connecting with others. And I thought that was so beautiful.
I like that.
Yeah. So there's a lot in this book, you guys. There's a lot. There's a lot of underwater arms. And
How does she survive underwater
oh,
as a human?
kind of like, well, I mean, everything's magic, right? We've got demons and krakens and whatever. They have a like a bracelet that is magic and helps her breathe underwater. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Spicy Scoville Scale, how would you rank this one, Megan?
This was pretty up there. Um I'm gonna give this one a habanero. It's not quite Carolina Reaper. Um, the book that I did give Carolina Reaper last time was because someone died after a sex act. So we're not
God.
quite there in
Yeah.
this book, but it's pretty spicy. So
Okay.
if you can't handle spice, this is not the book for you. And again, to go back to those trigger warnings, I do feel like there's a lot there with the trauma, and there's a lot there for somebody who doesn't want to think about abortion and the kinds of emotions and physical things that go along with that. So this is definitely not the book for everybody, but it's the book for some people.
I mean, it exists. It's printed.
It does, and I'll say I was really considering when I was doing my little show notes earlier today, would I read another book by this author?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good question.
Right? Because I was like, it's not really my thing, but I thought she was so very respectful in the way she set up her world that I think I would be willing to read another one of these books because I did appreciate the fact that there were boundaries. There was respect. There was a lot of caring about the others around you. And so I liked that enough that I'd be willing to try another book. And I don't know if all the books are Krakens. I feel like the books probably are in some of these other world realms. So it could be a dragon or a vampire or dude, I'd take more demons. Those demons were sweet.
Tell me about the book cover for the folks at home.
So the book cover is a large, long, tentacled man. I would instead of hair, he's got some tentacles, and he's got her wrapped up in one of his big old tentacles, and she's much smaller than him and looks like she's enraptured and almost wearing kind of like a veil of jellyfish skin. I'm not real sure.
Okay.
How would you describe it? Because
Yeah.
he kind of also looks like he's from what are those movies with the blue people?
Oh God.
Avatar. Avatar. He kind of looks like he's from Avatar because the
Does. He
cover
looks
is
a little avatar.
the cover is very blue. I'm sure it's supposed to make me think of water, but yeah. Yeah, he's very Avatar-ish. Yeah. You look skeptical.
It's all new to me, Megan. I can't say I've ever read Kraken smut before.
Yeah. You may be surprised to find out neither have I. And
Well, we said we were going to tackle the genres this year.
will I read more Kraken smut? I mean, I did say I would read more of this author, so did she write more Kraken smut? Maybe.
Okay.
I didn't go that far. I'm assuming because it does say she's the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author, so she got more out there,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's time. There's time for me to evolve.
Okay.
All right, Nicole, let's move on to your book.
I read The Selkie by Melanie Jackson, published in 2003. It's both a historical romance as well as a paranormal romance set in 1920s Scotland.
Oh, we are real heavy on the Scottish romances, aren't we? Not necessarily on purpose. They just keep popping up.
I feel for me, it's kind of on purpose, unintentionally, if that makes sense, because I'm just naturally drawn to Scottish romances, I think. I don't know.
I would agree with that, but I also feel like there's nothing on that book cover from where I'm sitting that makes
told me
me
it was going to be.
Yeah. There's nothing. There's no like tartan fabric or bagpipes or
Well,
anything.
and I know that selkies are a British thing, so I assumed it was.
See, I wouldn't have known that. I have zero knowledge of selkies, and that was something that I made abundantly clear to you earlier today.
Well, our main characters are. Prepare yourself for these names, Megan.
Oh, bring it.
Our heroine is Hesiod Garrow.
I'm sorry. Her what?
Hesiod, Hesiod. But her nickname is Hexy because that's so much better.
I do agree. I'm sorry. It is better.
Oh, God. I feel like her name was crap either way.
It's a bad name.
It's a bad name.
Hexy the Sexy? It's better. All right.
She's an American of Scottish descent.
Okay.
Then we have, oh, Lord, here we go. I'm going to do my best of the Scottish pronunciation here. Rory O'Ursig. His nickname's Rory.
Okay.
And he's a Scottish Selkie prince. And for those who are not familiar with what Selkies are,
which is me. I have zero ideas what that is. And I wouldn't let Nicole tell me because I wanted to have a genuine reaction on the podcast.
Okay.
Bring it. What is it?
They are creatures that shapeshift between seals and human forms by removing or putting on their seal skin.
What?
Yeah. Have you not seen The Secret of Roan Inish? I felt like that would
No.
totally be a movie that you would have seen.
No. I've seen very few movies, and that is on the list of ones I have not seen.
Okay.
They put on seal skin?
They put on seal skin and they turn into seals or they take their fur off and then they're humans.
Uh, you know what? This is a British thing? As you're saying it, this feels very Norse.
Yeah, there's some overlapping into
Okay.
the North. Yeah.
I feel like there's some Norse myths that I'm
We discuss that in the book. It's a
okay.
combination of Scottish, Irish, and Norse
Interesting. Okay. Because as you
mythology.
say it, I'm like, okay, I guess but I feel like I can kind of see some myth I read probably years and years and years ago where it was okay.
This book involves Selkies,
Mm.
as well as a myriad of other mythical sea creatures, including fin men, which I'd never heard of before.
Fin men?
Fin men, like fish fin
Okay.
men, who are essentially the equivalent of mermaids,
Okay.
or mermen, I guess, in this.
Mm-hmm.
Marrows,
How's that spelled?
Merrows.
Huh. Okay.
Picture from Harry Potter, the little sea creaturey things in the lake
Mm-hmm.
that they're kind of like octopusy looking.
Yeah.
That's kind of what a marrow is, but
Mhm.
open to interpretation depending on your mythology.
Mm-hmm.
But they're smaller little creatures. And then of course we have the Selkies. It's interesting in this story, the Selkies are considered the nice ones, and the mermen or finmen are considered to be kind of nasty and mean. And
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was interesting because that's typically not the mythology I've heard before. The best analogy I can think of for this book, which clearly won't have any meaning for you on any of these because I know you're not up and up on
I was gonna
your
say
culture.
I'm not hip with it.
You're not hip and jiggy on this front.
Wow.
It's a combination of Outlander, which I know you've never seen or read.
Yep.
The Secret of Roan Inish, which you just informed me you've never seen the
Yep.
movie, and True Blood, and I'm guessing you've never read those books or seen that TV show.
Yep.
But for those people at home who understand any of those references, it's a combination of those three things because Roan Inish has Selkies. Outlander, he refers to the female heroine Claire as Sassana, which is like an Outlander. And then True Blood has reference to various mythical magical creatures, fays, minotaurs, all
Mhm.
that stuff. So that's where we're drawing all this from. And then obviously Outlander Scottish. There we go. Hexie is a secretary for an American actress who just conveniently has a Scottish castle located on the coast
Like
of
you do.
Scotland
Mm-hmm.
from her deceased husband. Hexie has horrible spring allergies. And one evening she is sitting on a rock on the beach and her eyes are just tearing up really badly. I could completely relate to this because my allergies have been so bad with pollenocalypse and whatnot. But she's crying into the water, but not really. It's just her allergies, and she's tearing up because of the allergies. Well, apparently there's some ritual where if you cry so many tears into the ocean, it summons a Selkie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who knew? I didn't know this.
I didn't know it either.
So Hexie unintentionally summons a Selkie to her. In addition, the actress Hexie works for thinks she left her mink fur coat at the beach
Okay.
and has Hexie go back to the beach and go find her coat. Well, it's dark. She grabs the wrong fur. It's the Selkie's fur that he took off to take human form.
Okay.
So it's an accident. She
Mhm.
grabs it. There's this whole misunderstanding where he thinks that she summoned him and stole his Selkie skin from him
Mhm.
to keep him from returning to the sea and keep him as a captive lover.
Okay, sir. You really think pretty highly of yourself.
But she explains, oh my God, it was an accident. I just have bad allergies. I didn't mean to cry and summon you, and I certainly didn't mean to take your skin.
Such a weird thing to say.
But anyway, he's like, oh, okay. But in the meantime, Hexie put the skid into the actress's luggage because she was going off to London for some gallivanting.
Oh my good God.
So he can't get his fur back. She does call the actress and she's like, oops, that wasn't your fur. It belonged to somebody else.
Because there are multiple people leaving their
furs on the
furs on the.
And at no point does the actress question any of this. But anyway, the actress
Well,
is like,
because here's the thing. If you're weird enough to be wearing your fur to the beach and leaving it there, you're like, yeah, that's normal enough. Everybody else is doing it too. Why would you question it? Oh my God.
anyway. So Rory has to hang out with Hexie at the castle for a few days while he waits for his fur to get sent back so he can return to the sea.
What if it gets lost in the mail?
It's 1920s. I
Oh,
don't,
it'll definitely get lost in the mail.
well, it doesn't get lost in the mail. Spoiler
right.
alert.
Right.
During this time of a whopping few days, Megan, I'm sure it will come to you as no surprise that Hexie and Rory, of course, have an instant attraction and fall in love
They're in love.
after just 2 to 3 days.
Yep. Yep. That's how it happens.
They end up having sex, and somehow, Megan, she's pregnant by morning with twins. And they both know she's pregnant. They can sense that she's instantly pregnant.
Uh-huh. Sure. Sure they can.
Okay, let me get control of myself because, okay, I think we're over the hump of sort of the weirdness.
Oh, uh-huh. I'm sure.
In the midst of this budding and weird romance, Rory is investigating some deaths of his people and some humans, and there's evil finmen, aka mermen, involved. And there's a particular merman finman who is killing selkies and humans to eat their souls to get more powerful like a demon.
No.
Become more powerful like a demon.
No, my demons would never.
Well, in this book, the demons are a thing, and they're not that nice, and they're not consensual.
Wow.
So,
Don't be slandering my demons.
right. And Rory's trying to stop them and figure out what exactly is going on, who is at fault, who's causing the murders, that type of thing. Somehow, Hexie and Rory figure out that she's actually part Fae, as in fairy,
Of course.
and part Selkie. Didn't see that one coming. Via her Scottish lineage, and Rory magically is also part Fae and Selkie as well.
My God.
So it's this special match made in heaven thing because it gives them both special abilities. Hexie kind of has the power of sight. She has special intuition,
Oh.
that type of thing.
That's why they knew they were pregnant with twins immediately.
Freaking. And if they have offspring, it will help revive the dying off Selkie people who are their numbers are dwindling. So there's
Both
some
of our books.
overlap
Yes.
between our books here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody needs to improve their lineage with some outsiders.
What was interesting and kind of weird to me in this book, based on my limited knowledge of Selkies from having seen the movie The Secret of Roan Inish, The Secret of Roan Inish has female Selkies. It's very
Mhm.
female focused as the Selkies. In this book, they're very clear that pretty much the female Selkies are all gone, and that's why they're having this dwindling population. And so they're having to copulate with humans, and that's why it's so special and important that once they find out Hexie is part Fae and part Selkie, oh, we can really truly revive
Mhm.
the Selkie people more authentically, blah, blah, blah. But all the Selkies are technically male in this book.
Interesting.
So it was definitely different from what I had limited knowledge of before with Selkies.
We're both finding in our books that the people, I use that term loosely, but the people are interpreted differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which for my book I definitely enjoyed. I don't know, like for your book, you didn't seem
get
as
to that.
gung ho. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
Let's talk spice level because I'm not going to spoil the rest of the book. They work together to kind of solve some things and get some resolution, find out who's the culprit. There's some big drama
Mm-hmm.
at the end and that type of thing.
Drama.
I'm going to put this on a spice level of somewhere between green pepper and poblano, probably leaning a little bit more towards poblano, but I have to really struggle to reach poblano on this one even.
Wow.
There were a couple of sex scenes. And though they were very wordy and descriptive, the wordiness and description were weirdly not actually sexual in any way and not explicit in any way. And the scenes were vague. So I don't know. It sounds so contradictory when I say it, but it's completely true. Tons of wording, but none of it was actually, I don't know how to explain it. It was weird. It's just so much descriptions of essentially nothing, superficial stuff that I don't know. Anyway, things I loved about this book, Scottish vibes, mermaids. Okay, I'm here for it. You know, challenges. There was some pretty advanced vocabulary, and I consider myself pretty well educated and have a pretty expansive vocabulary. But I had to keep looking up a lot of the words because they were just so far out and not regularly used and ones I'd never heard of before. So it was educational, but challenging to try to read a book and be like, what the fuck is she saying? And honestly, it was kind of boring as a whole, the plot, and confusing at various points. For example, the hero's name is Rory and Hexie's brother's name is Rory Patrick. And at one point I got concerned. I'm like, oh my God, is she banging her brother? Like, I'm so confused.
I'm very glad she wasn't. I will tell you, for as open as I think we are going to be with a lot of our books, that is not a topic that I will be reading. So not happening.
My final thoughts for the Selkie. It was okay. The author tied everything together in the end, and various mysteries and plots were resolved. But I wasn't super drawn into the characters or the story as much as I wanted to be, if that makes sense. And there's some weird mermaid sex. I guess it's not mermaid sex, Selkie sex, where they had weird silver salt sweat that they exchanged between each other. Other than that, it was normal sex, I guess you would say, but they were sweating silver salt, which was weird.
Can I just say, though, I am a girl that loves salt. That might be my thing.
You would be into Selkie sex?
I might be into that. If somebody was like, you know what? You bang me, you get some salt. I'd be like, tell me more.
So that's it for me in the Selkie. This one was girthy, unlike yours, and yet not really much happened in it.
Whereas, mine was short.
I feel like a lot happened.
Short with a lot of sweet.
Yeah. So, booby prize, Megan. Tell me when your boobies hit in your book.
Page 44.
Oh, look at you.
Page 44. I thought it would be earlier, actually, but no, page 44.
Okay.
I do my best to keep my gaze firmly above her shoulders. I'm only partially successful. I make it to her chest, but each motion she makes has her breasts straining precariously against the fabric of her dress.
Oh la la.
This book was told from the perspective of both main characters.
I was about to ask.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I had like alternating chapters.
Gotcha. Well, you win the booby prize, Megan.
Where were your breasts?
Page 127.
Wow.
I had to wait and wait. Quote, the perspiration damp fabric was untied and then rolled down off her shoulders, breasts, belly, hips, and fell to the floor in a lacy heap.
A lacy heap.
A lacy heap.
It's a little sexy.
There was a fun genitalia reference in here.
Ooh.
For the hoo-has.
Was it? Oh, I was going to say, was it better than prehensile penis? But
there was no prehensile penis.
Yeah.
He referred to her hoo-ha as a feminine heart.
Oh.
So in previous books that I've read, we have seen feminine core.
Yep.
We've seen her sex.
Yep.
This one was her feminine heart.
That's kind of nice.
It was pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all.
It took me a second. I had to reread it to get what he was referring to.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, he's touching her hoo-ha. Okay.
Yeah.
Romantic reminder for you, Megan, for Kraken sex.
Yeah. So I actually had two. I had a hard time choosing between the two of them. So I will start with, she's in the ocean now living in a land that is not her own. So mostly what they're feeding her is fish related. And at one point in time, he imported bread and brought her bread. And she was so thrilled and could not get over the fact that she had real bread. And then later on, it comes back in the book and he, makes a suggestive remark to her. And she's like, yeah, I'll do that if you bring me some bread. And I was like, yeah,
I
girl,
love bread.
girl, I'm on board, right? But I would say beyond the food, the game thing, it was so lovely that he brought out the game and they were able to connect in a way that was not like super physical. And as they're getting to know each other more and more, they literally just would sit in the evening and play that game. And so you actually see weeks and months go by with them spending time together in the evening, breaking out the game board. And because you know that to her is a very big form of intimacy, you can see that they're truly building a relationship. So I would say bread and board games. Those are my romantic reminders, right? Yeah. How about you?
For romantic reminder,
Mhm.
take time to learn about each other's ancestry and heritage. It can
Hmm.
be a connection point and foster deeper understanding of each other's individual histories
I like that.
because they delved into what lineage that Hexie had and what lineage Rory had. And then that's how they figured out, like, oh, hey, we have a lot of common background. We have a lot more in common than we even guessed at.
Mhm.
It was a happy coincidence for them and also a way to deepen their relationship.
Yeah, that connection.
Yeah.
Very nice.
As for food, which is not a romantic reminder, but if we're chatting about food
Yeah.
books,
Yeah.
uh, with her instant pregnancy, Hexie was craving fruit,
Oh, okay.
which she talks about in 1920s. She could barely afford lemons because they were an exotic fruit.
Wow.
And she was just craving fruit so hardcore for some reason. And then when she goes undersea to Rory's kingdom, they have like this special sea fruit or something that
Mhm.
grows down there, and they feed her that. And then she also wanted fish. So fruit and fish for this book,
But
which
there's a lot of fish in my book too.
I
I mean,
know
it's
that
in
they put
underwater.
fruit and fish together, but
I don't like a mango.
oh, like a chutney. Okay, I see
Yeah.
where you're going. That
I
makes
feel like
sense.
you could do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Megan, what are you reading for the next podcast episode as we continue our underwater love theme of the month?
The book I'm reading is called Whispers of the Deep.
Ooh.
Yeah. It is a mermaid book. And much like you with your male selkies and male mermaids, it's a male mermaid. Whispers of the Deep by Emma Ham.
And similar cover to your previous
Yeah,
book,
it's a similar cover. I mean,
but girthy and hefty.
yeah. And I would say it does look like it would be a period piece in comparison. I mean, looking at her clothing, doesn't she look like a bar wench?
Oh, yes. Yes, she does.
Yeah.
And he's very merman-y, a
Mhm.
fin man,
Yeah.
if you will.
A fin man. He's got almost like fins coming off his face and eyeballs, almost like little feathers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that what that looks like?
Yeah.
All right.
Read me the back cover.
One of the many engineers that keeps Beta, the city under the sea, running. Mira only wants to make her family proud and prove herself worthy. She knows the mysterious city better than anyone, and it's her dream to help it flourish. But then, on a solo job in an abandoned section of the city, she encounters a monster of legend, an Undine. Don't know that I'm saying that correctly.
Undine. but
Undine?
I
Okay.
it was on a My Little Ponies
Oh,
episode, so.
thank you for educating me. My Little Pony and your
But I
little
could be wrong,
cuties.
or the My Little Ponies could be wrong. It could be
I believe in them. Okay, an Undine, a dangerous merman from the ancient civilization long forgotten. Argus has fought his entire life for his people. With deadly creatures under his control, he plans to eradicate Beta once and for all to protect his kind and their peaceful way of life. But when a human woman saves him, she unknowingly creates a bond between them, one he can't ignore. Even though her flaming red hair haunts his dreams, he needs her for information on the Undine's enemies. So he steals her keeps her, feeds her, only to realize their bond is far deeper than captor and captive. He cannot let her go, but he cannot keep her under the sea. In a battle to determine if love can survive a war beneath the waves, it will be their decision that changes the tides.
Ooh, changes the tides.
Yeah.
That sounds very dramatic.
Very dramatic. Basically, she's a construction worker and he steals her and they have an underwater romp. That is what I'm understanding.
Well, who doesn't love an underwater
What do you got, Nicole? What's your next book?
I have Call of the Sea by Emily B. Rose.
Oh, you have an Emily and I have an Emma.
Yeah.
Those are our authors. I love that. Okay.
Kenna has never wanted the life ahead of her. Trapped in her castle and married to someone she does not love. She dreams of a life of adventure, exploring the ocean, searching for mermaids, except mermaids don't exist. At least, that's what she's always been told. Unfortunately, her plans for exploration are thwarted. Every heir must wed, and with war on the horizon, her time is up. 5 suitors are vying for her hand, but Kenna vowed never to marry someone only after her crown. Only, one of them doesn't seem to care about her title, refusing to even use it. Just as she begins to consider opening up to him, he disappears. Kenna chases after him and learns his secret before a storm wrecks her boat. Finding herself stranded on an island with him, Kenna has no choice but to trust him to nurse her back to health. With the tension growing and the sparks she doesn't trust flying between them, Kenna has to decide how to balance the desires of her heart and her duty to her people, and how far she's willing to go to learn the whole truth.
I'm looking forward to this one. I have already read the first 3 pages and it seems like it's going to be fun. So I'm hopeful.
Cool.
Yep.
We'll see how mine is. Well, I'm excited for it. I actually ordered this one from the Ripped Bodice, which we have the affiliate program with.
Uh-huh.
And it arrived after I left North Carolina, unfortunately, to travel to Wisconsin. So that's why I couldn't read it before staying here and everything. But I'm excited to return home and get started on it. I'm just a little leery after reading the Selkie.
I would be as well. But when is that one published? That seems like a newer book, right?
2024 is the publication date.
See, I think it's going to be better. And you know what? Mine is also 2024.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today for Romance on the Rocks. Please like, subscribe, and follow. And if you're a hopelessly romantic, bookish biddy like us, think about leaving us a review on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you catch your podcasts. And until next time, just know that your support really means the world to us. Stay safe and know that you are loved.